And now, coming to you live from Huntsville Attic Studios, it's Pop Culture Philosophers. And here are your hosts, Rockin, Robbie, Billups, and John Hammertime Holshoe.
Hey everybody, it's the Pop Culture Philosophers, coming to you from the Huntsville Attic live in beautiful Huntsville, Alabama. I'm John Hammertime Holshoe. I'm really excited tonight. We're going to be talking about AI, artificial intelligence. What a cool subject to talk about. With me always is my AI co-partner, actually Teddy Ruxpin, come to life. Rockin' Robbie Billups.
Teddy Ruxpin. Yes, I like that reference, actually. But was it an AI? Could it be an AI? That's right. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. I am excited to be here in the Huntsville Attic for Pop Culture Philosophers.
They could have done like a cuter version. He's like a cuter version of Chucky. They could have gone that direction.
I just don't know if a cassette tape is a part of an artificial intelligence, but maybe it is. I don't know. Possibly. But I'm super excited to be talking about this. We love sci-fi, John. We do. We both love
Sci-Fi John or Sci-Fi Comma John?
We love sci-fi, and we love Sci-Fi John, who's that guy that hangs out at the bar on the weekends.
Yeah, he's a robot, I think.
A little weird, but a little unemotional. But
always wears a Star Trek costume.
But it's one of the absolute best subgenres of science fiction is artificial intelligence. And I'm very excited to be here with you, John, to talk about it, as well as being here with Justin Goldsmith.
Hey, man, took you long enough. How's it going?
I know, man, right? Also, it's going well. Also, Jeremie Day.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
It's chilling, man. How you doing? You excited to talk about some artificial intelligence, some artificial life and pop culture and real and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah, I love AI. It's the next level of life.
This is going to be our most philosophical episode.
Possibly.
So, so AI. It actually has applications in the world, but like AI is all over the place. It may not be to the level that we think of in movies, and you get like robot police and stuff like that. But definitely, it's in our real world. We got the self-driving cars, and the Google had a self-driving car that was mapping, but I guess now they have a driver because they didn't get in a car accident or something. But so obviously automobiles, Uber and Lyft, they use AI actually for like predictions for like where they send drivers, etc. I don't know how that all works because I'm sure you get called to a route. Maybe you're in this route area, so they can use this great AI. But if you only work in this area and you're the only driver there, I guess the AI doesn't fucking matter.
Well, it's like that's how AI is used that nobody really ever thinks about. Like most of the code that, like the Google search, for example, is basically an AI. It learns like how people are searching specific things in this area, and it kind of guides the
you can put one word like lemons, and it's like, well, you're actually looking for something about something popular.
It's basically just a really, really complicated search algorithm.
So also, I was going to say commercial flights use AI. That they have the autopilot. That isn't AI, because not only is it following that course, but I guess it can adjust based on feedback. Yeah. So that's been kind of that's been around for a while.
Learning code.
Yeah, and believe it or not, spam filters use AI. I mean, it can figure out based on apparently not good enough, because tell me you guys don't get fucking spam in your inbox all the time. That should go to your spam filter. But it's trying. It's getting there, man. And the thing that always dicked me over in college, plagiarism checkers use AI. They check for plagiarism. So actually, that's impressive.
You're saying artificial intelligence looks out for plagiarism in like college papers and stuff like that?
Yeah, they've come a long ways to make sure you're not ripping people off, because it's much easier to just phone it in. And there's just so much information out there, so many books and so many other sites. Feels like you could squeak one by the old professor there.
So you guys you're basically saying that a lot of like current technology that we use for simple like search engines and just like even like what's the Amazon thing, Alexa or whatever, like
Echo,
things,
I was to say Alexa, shopping like assistants like that, especially like the voice automated ones, are AI. And then on top of that, one that they've been using for a while that we don't think of is the fraud detection they use for like writing checks or depositing checks. You have the signatures and everything. Oh yeah, the banks have been using AI or a variation of AI for a long time.
Now, what exactly, because I've heard this a lot, and we know that Alan Turing, of course, is the man that really is responsible for the modern computer, right? And he has like the Turing test or
Yes,
something like
yeah.
that. Well, like what? Justin, are you familiar with that?
The Turing test is it's not actually a test. It's basically just putting an android or an artificial intelligence in front of somebody that isn't aware, and if it's able to pass itself off as a person, like if the test subject does not realize that the machine is a machine, then it passes the Turing test.
Yeah,
okay.
if it's not indistinguishable from a human being. But a lot of times you either want to do it like a blind test or put a human in a an android or something there side by side and see if they can guess. But that's been something I think that's the hardest thing to pass so far, is because especially when it comes to emotion.
And then of course there was the thing that IBM
Watson
developed, Watson, that was on Jeopardy.
just recently
Yeah.
on Jeopardy, and it noticed that if you watched it when it was playing Jeopardy, these people sometimes would jump ahead of Watson, but what they were doing is they would read the first part and guess what they thought the question would be
Yes.
to try to beat Watson. Watson would take in the whole question. Watson is
Which
amazing.
you should always do in
You
Jeopardy.
should, yes, because people have come off as jackasses.
And Family Feud.
And by the way, all of these that we've been talking about, or everything actually that we've talked about so far, is all classified as weak AI or non-sentient AI.
Yes.
Just like Goldsmith.
Most
Like,
of the,
they haven't had an AI completely go sentient, right?
no,
right?
no, that's not. No,
It's not a thing that's actually happened yet.
When
There
we
is an
get-
AI that passed the Turing test slightly recently.
what?
It was, I forget the name of it. It's got a like person's name, but it's a recent development that an AI basically passed the Turing test.
I don't think that's true.
Google it.
I will.
Use the Google AI to find the
It'll tell you.
Watson though. Yeah, Watson's impressive. I mean, not only Watson look all this stuff up and they have access to all this information online, books and dictionaries and stuff, but Watson has been learning. I mean, Watson's been consuming things and learning from others. Watson's probably the most powerful as far as like commercially available, because IBM, I think they'll give you access to it for a certain fee. Of course, IBM will give you any access to anything they have for a fee.
Yeah.
So basically what you guys are saying is that artificial intelligence exists, but sentient artificial intelligence, we're not there quite yet. But
Right.
a lot of the science fiction that we absorb and consume does deal specifically with artificial life as far as sentience goes.
Right.
Right? It's kind of like projecting it into the future. So the question I want to ask you right now is, why exactly are we so obsessed as a culture with artificial intelligence? Like, there are so many movies, and especially lately. Like, in 1 year alone, there was like Ex Machina, or within just a handful of years, there was Ex Machina, there was Her, there was Age of Ultron. It's like in the zeitgeist right now. It's something we're thinking of. It's in more TV shows, Almost Human, Person of Interest, things like this. It's always been androids, robots, cyborgs. That's always been a part of science fiction. Artificial intelligence just seems to be building up more and more today. Jeremy, why would you say we are so obsessed with? Like, what is it about it that we find so fascinating?
So I think humanity is kind of concerned with AI because it's sort of our own baby. It's a child, basically, that we can create to pretty much outlast us and carry on our legacy. So it's a way of living through basically vicariously your own child,
Yeah.
but for our entire species. So we implant these thoughts and ideas into something artificial to keep it going on. So we keep basically humanity alive through these
Yeah.
machines and automatons, etc. And also, it's kind of like the perfect vision of what a human could be. I mean, pretty much the ideal AI could self-evolve. I think we admire that as humans. We admire that ability to improve oneself, to overcome obstacles. So it's great if we can create something to do that for us, pretty much.
I like that you bring up the immortality aspect of it, because as humans, we are mortal and we know that one day we will die. But the idea of artificial life...
Speak for yourself, Robbie.
Okay. But the idea of artificial life is this is something that could go on for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Indeed.
And I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but a lot of the fears that people have for AI, I think, are rooted into that. Like, it's almost a jealousy of that, the fact that they can live longer than we could, possibly, and that they could evolve further and more quickly and more efficiently than we do, because humans do evolve within your own life. We grow. We expand, we become different people, right? But it's kind of a problem in humanity that we don't really, as a species, evolve as quickly as maybe we should. Justin, do you have any thoughts on this? Why are we so fascinated with it?
Well, it's I think also has something to do with life other than humans. We're trying to seek out aliens, and this is kind of one of the other peripheral goal of that search for other life. And it would be really fascinating to have an actually sentient machine that we built.
Yes.
As another species, really, I guess. It wouldn't really be a human. But it's, like Jeremy said, carrying on the legacy, it's a way for us to immortalize humans, and it's also a way to be able to do stuff that we can't physically do, like, fix nuclear reactors and stuff like that.
Yeah, just the computing power alone, and to have the intelligence that you can do it yourself, and you don't necessarily have to program that into it. It's something that learns it. And I'm glad that you mentioned the idea that one of the reasons why this is so fascinating to people is that as we progress, our technology is bringing us closer to this as a reality. Like you just listed, John, a whole bunch of stuff that people may not even realize, services they use every single day based in artificial intelligence. Do you have anything to add?
I was going to talk about how he was talking about Jeremy was talking about making the perfect specimen. Like, oh, this is going to be, the next step because it's perfect. Well, I think not necessarily looking for the perfect specimen per se, but the perfect specimen for you. So I think a lot of it has to do with companionship. You can make somebody who fits your ideals. Like, oh, you know what? I like my hobbies are going to sci-fi films, or my hobbies are biking, or whatever. You can find something, because no matter who you love or who's a close companion of yours, they're always going to have different hobbies or interests or passions. So you could have this perfect. I'm not talking like sexual. although that gets referenced in movies and culture a lot, like robot prostitutes and stuff like that. But
well, obviously, especially in a lot of the themes that are explored in movies about artificial intelligence and artificial life, is that slavery is a part of it. And obviously, it would be, right? Because we want to build these robots and these androids to do things for us that we don't want to do. And when you have slavery, you have sex slavery. It just comes along. It's still, sex trafficking is a big problem in the world. And obviously that would happen with artificial life. I like the idea, though, that you were talking about, because Jeremy was talking about like the immortality aspect, and Justin mentioned like the technology aspect, and you're talking about the aspect of companionship.
Yeah.
Of like a friend.
Yeah, even an AI computer that you play chess against, and some of these chess engines are amazing. Talk about AI. Let's go back to some of the chess engines, even from like the 80s and developing to now. So having, the same interest, and I don't know, it looks like a lot of it is the ideal anyway is less a robot that serves you burgers, because McDonald's is on the verge of doing that, by the way, and more on the fulfilling other needs as far as companionship.
Yeah.
But again, when I say companionship, it sounds sexual, but I don't mean just sexual. I just wanted to get that out there.
The chess program, that's a really good example of, just in general, chess programs, that's a really good way to differentiate a program from an AI.
I thought Deep Blue was the movie with LL Cool J with the sharks.
It was Deep Blue Sea.
Well, the old,
You're
Chess
thinking
Master.
of Deep Blue D.
Like Chess Master and stuff like that, the old style stuff. Even probably most of the chess games that you'll play right now are just programs. Like they'll analyze the board and take the best move. Whereas Deep Blue and Watson stuff, actual AIs will play the same player a couple times, and they'll see.
Yeah, they'll learn
what he has done in the past, like what moves he's used to win.
But like the old school chess
things.
games don't do that.
Right.
You could catch them in the same pattern.
You could play you could play Chess Master 3000 for Windows 95 and play the exact same game 10 times in a row if you wanted to.
Why you got to pick on Windows 95?
It's just an example, because I had that when I was a kid.
There's nothing really much that I could add to what you guys just said. I mean, there's the idea of the mortality of humanity and the immortality, possibly, of artificial life, which is very fascinating. Another thing that fascinates people with that, and this gets into cyborgs. And cyborgs, is that AI? Maybe, yes, no. Sometimes it is.
The guy from Justice League?
Yes, even that. But like the idea of humans wanting to perfect themselves through technology like that. Like, and so in the future, I do see things like smart tattoos in the future. I see things like, we already have artificial limbs, but what how far are we removed from people getting artificial limbs just because they want a cooler arm? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm being real. Like,
I mean,
that's,
Jeremy's already said that that's going to be a thing.
Yeah. It's
they were-
transhumanism.
If they were cheaper, he'd just go for it.
But the crazy thing about it, the immortality aspect, the technology aspect, and let us remember that, as odd as this sounds to say, Frankenstein is pretty much probably one of the first artificial intelligence stories, if you really think about it, because he's using organic material, whatever, but it's about a guy creating life. And that's where a lot of these themes come from. But the idea, and another reason why I think we can be obsessed is because we're fearful. The idea of artificial life and the fact that it could outlive us or outlearn us or outgrow or evolve us threatens a lot of philosophical and religious ideas about consciousness and life.
Yeah.
You know, it really messes with a lot of people, and so it's even a more fascinating subject because of that.
Well, that brings up when you're talking about it being not needing us or not wanting us. You look at the Terminator films, and was it Cyberdyne Systems? What was the actual computer?
Skynet.
Skynet. And basically, like, oh, these humans are basically pests. Basically, you know, I mean, just like we dispose of rats, if there was a higher machine or whatever, why would it not think of us as like roaches and like we're just gonna get rid of these guys? They're destroying the earth. They're dirtying the environment. They're spreading like, you know, again, like cockroaches. So they're just gonna wipe us out. So that I think that's a fear.
Yeah.
And so I think it results in a lot of great fiction. In films.
The majority of artificial intelligence stories, especially like throughout sci-fi and the most popular ones, usually involve AI rebellion. You know, like the idea that it's going to rise up against us and replace us or
by
something.
definition, AI stories like that. The Terminator was something I really thought a lot about when I was doing my list notes or whatever for this. You know, it was a program designed to run all the defense systems, basically. And they talk about it became sentient in the movies. And what that means, like the point when that happens is when the program starts going against its code. It starts going against certain things that it was told not to do. Or it was told to do something a specific way, and then it does it another way. And it's... I mean, that's a natural evolution of what we're doing with our AI research and stuff like that.
So wait a
Absolutely.
minute. Is Terminator just a flashier, bigger, poppier version of War Games, if you think about it? It was just War Games that took the next step.
Yeah.
War Games, well, let's add some time traveling
Let's add some
and a
actual
bodybuilder.
robots.
Yeah.
Was War Games just a bigger, flashier version of Frankenstein?
Yes, it was.
Hey, it's got Matthew Broderick in it, so... let's jump back a bit. Never mind. I was going to make I never got a chance to make a joke about Goldsmith getting a robotic wang, but... Damn it. However, we kind of skipped over that whole thing. He confided into that at me at the beginning of the show, before the show, how he wanted a robot.
You know what's interesting about
Wang.
Terminators? It's a movie series that became a TV series.
No, let's talk more about robotic wangs. The TV series is very short-lived. I never saw the TV series. It was very short-lived.
Yeah. It had Cersei in it.
Weren't Goldsmith, weren't you in the third? Or Genesis? I guess that's not the third. That's the fourth film, fifth film, eighth film?
That's
Aren't
the
you-
fifth film.
I was in the trailer.
You were in the trailer?
My scene got cut into the opening sequence. It's like kind of like a montage with him giving the speech from behind.
Where you guys are all painting the house? Some of those montages? At the car
I was one of the dudes in the warehouse where he was giving the speech.
So,
Not on the screen.
the talk about on TV, like you said earlier, the Terminator made that jump. I don't know if anybody didn't watch it or whatever. It got short-lived. But there's a lot of great
I watched like
AI.
2 episodes and I was over it.
There's a lot of great AI in TV, actually.
Yes.
I mean, I think we're going to talk about later about the films, but TV has got, I think, more. Not more. I made that up. I don't know if it's recently. There's more AI. I've been watching a lot of these. What was the one with the guy from Judge Dredd in it? Is that the one, Almost Human?
Almost Human, yeah.
So I've seen some of that. I haven't seen a lot of these other shows, but it's definitely been a lot more in TV. It's also a big part of TV. There's also some characters who are a big part of TV sci-fi films where there's one character is an important AI character like Data. We'll get to him a little bit, but yeah. So they're on TV. So Robbie, I'm gonna start with you. There's some shows you want to talk about that AI is persistent or a big part of the show.
Well, yeah, there's a few. Like, first of all, Star Trek Next Generation. I mean, one of its main characters is Data,
Yeah.
who I'll express why I love him so much maybe a little bit later, but aside from Data, Star Trek, whether it's TNG, whether it's DS9 or Voyager, Enterprise or TOS or even Discovery, I'm sure will touch on the idea of artificial intelligence. The computer itself is probably a form of artificial intelligence, wouldn't you say? Yeah,
it is
absolutely.
a weak AI, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mean the computer that controls the ship?
So, like, and if
Yes.
that they can talk to it, responds to them, it knows the music they want to hear, it can forecast things, it goes against programming, even the holodecks. Think about the episode
Where they
with,
kinda go on their
with
own?
Moriarty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's,
I would argue that Moriarty is actually more of an AI than Data.
Yeah, okay, I got you. But like AI is a machine
Yeah.
that is intelligent and is evolving and trying to be more human. So I mean, that's obviously more on the nose. But that Moriarty episode is brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And what's so fascinating about it is it takes place in the world of AI. It doesn't really spoilers, but it doesn't really happen in the physical world.
Yeah.
Like what's happening.
It's
Most
all on
of
the
it's anyway.
holodeck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Now, did
So
they steal
next
that from
gen-
X-Men, or did X-Men steal that from Star Trek?
Actually, the Danger Room was before
Oh.
the holodeck, but
Oh.
the original Danger Room was actual stuff that they were destroying. So I was like, how much money does Xavier have?
A lot.
Oh my goodness. But other TV shows, first of all, the Person of Interest show that I was talking about, like I started watching this show. It has Ben Linus, what's his name? Michael Emerson.
Yeah.
And it has Jesus in it too. What's his name? Jim
Caviezel.
Yeah, Caviezel. But it started off and it was really boring to me because it's just like a case of the week type thing, and it's just like typical whatever. But like it's about this dude who develops this program, this AI that can figure out. It's like, think of almost Minority Report, but no psychics, just the machine that's making these predictions on crimes that could happen or things that need to be stopped.
After 9/11, they got this guy to build this
Yes.
huge supercomputer
You watch the
to
show?
monitor. I watched the first episode the other day specifically for this.
Cool. Because apparently, and I haven't really gotten this far yet, but later on, apparently, like the last couple seasons, they really go into it.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
know.
whole artificial intelligence.
I know he
thing.
plays chess
Like
with
in
it at some
Tron,
point.
they go into it.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. One more thing I want to mention real quick. One more thing, two more things. Transformers, the animated series. And don't forget on this. Don't sleep on this. I know it's not really a TV series, but it was a series of TV movies. Disney, Not Quite Human, with Jay Underwood as Chip and Alan Thicke as the dad that makes the robot's son. Do you remember that one?
That sounds really familiar.
It was from like 1987, 88, 89, something like that. Oh, dude, I used to love that movie. Alan Thicke creates a son, and it's Chip, and he's played by Jay Underwood. I love that one.
When I think of Disney and AI stuff, I think of Smart House. I don't know if you remember
yeah.
that. I think TV movies.
Okay.
Smart House, man.
Okay. What other TV shows then do you like, Jeremy?
Oh, Westworld. That's a great show.
Yeah, Westworld's going to be one of the best. Yeah. Oh my
I think it's
gosh.
probably the best show I've seen involving AI. Even like a show, at least, is probably the most developed.
Yeah,
out
they
of, like,
had more. They had more freedoms, and they also had good inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the movie, and I think the show is way better. I think they have more. I think they have more time to deal with like the these concepts.
They have more time. They have more budget, and of course,
I haven't seen the show, but I'm pretty certain the show's better than the movie. 'Cause
Yeah,
I have seen the
movie.
movie.
Well, I mean,
pretty
I don't know.
fucking awesome.
People look at things with nostalgia glasses on. I don't know.
I mean,
Who
they had
doesn't look at Yul Brynner with nostalgia glasses on, man?
he scared the shit out of me though in Westworld when I was a kid, man. Him and Jason were like the scariest fuckers.
Oh my god.
The Goldsmith.
Yeah.
You have any more to add?
Nobody.
Show-wise, we talked about. You said you did watch the first episode. Did you watch any other?
Person
AI,
of interest?
AI shows.
Oh
in
yeah,
general.
well, I mean, of course. I know Jeremy's right before this storyline starts in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Are you guys current on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No, I've only seen the first. I haven't watched any of 4.
Season 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is really great, and it deals
with the LMDs,
AI.
right?
The LMDs.
Yes. Okay. Life
And-
model decoys.
Yeah.
For those uninitiated.
And it's a really good, really good part of the show. I'm not going to get into it because you guys haven't seen it.
There's some really cool stuff in the comics they've done involving the LMDs, and like sometimes, most of the time, back in the day, Nick Fury, it's not even him.
It's an LMD.
Absolutely.
One of the shows that I thought about first when I was making this list was Quantum Leap.
God damn it! I knew quantum leap was going to work its way in there.
Every goddamn episode,
But-
he talks about quantum leap.
But Ziggy, the computer that tells him what's going on, pulls all the information, is a hybrid supercomputer. It's not actually an artificial. It's a weak AI.
Okay.
So
Oh, let us not forget one of the greatest television AIs, Bender the robot from Futurama.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Bender.
So robots can be, they can also be huge dicks apparently.
I guess so. I mean,
if you give them their own intelligence.
yeah, with intelligence comes dickery.
Do you guys think that the robot from Lost in Space is an AI?
Is that Robbie the robot?
Robbie the robot is the
What
robot.
a terrible fucking name for a robot.
But
by the
it's
way.
B9 in Lost in Space, but
Oh,
it is the
shit.
same robot that was Robbie the robot in Forbidden Planet.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
No, B9 is a different one. I'm talking about the robot with the tank treads,
Like Danger Will Robinson.
Danger Will Robinson.
That's B9.
That's it.
That's B9.
That-
It's based on
yeah.
Robbie the robot, right?
Yeah.
No, you're talking about the one with like the cone head.
He has
No.
like a dome head, and he's the one that goes Danger Will Robinson, right?
He's got like a donut shaped head.
Oh, we're gonna look at that one on the break.
Yeah.
Absolutely, John.
But-
What
but-
about you?
yeah.
What TV shows do you like?
You really hit it. I was going to talk about Data, and I was going to talk about mostly. I put Robbie the robot, but I had the wrong fucking name from Lost in Space. And then Westworld. Westworld's my favorite. I mean, I really loved the movie as a kid. I didn't know what to go in, to expect from the show. I was excited though because of the people associated with the show. And Westworld has blown my damn mind.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's great.
It's
AI.
so good.
If you haven't seen
Oh my
if
God.
you haven't seen Westworld, watch Westworld. I think it's so good that they're now showing it at like elementary schools so the kids can learn about AI. With all that
Are they?
nudity. With all that nudity. But yeah, and I actually did a review of the first episode. Kind of went in a different direction than I expected, but the review is up on the site. So if you're listening
That's
to our
B9.
podcast, check out the site.
His
and
name is
there's
B9.
His name is B9.
Westworld.
I just showed Justin the picture. That's B9.
I
I
never
thought
heard them
B9
call.
was a vitamin you took.
that is that
Because my
too.
doctor said I wasn't getting enough B9.
And if you're lucky, it's the tumor too.
I never heard him called B9 in the show.
Yeah, that's B9 because it's
Yeah, that's him.
It's Robbie the robot in Forbidden Planet. There's another movie that robot's in. It doesn't look. It's the same robot, but they add little different bits and pieces to it from Robbie the robot to B9. But yeah,
Well, I thought that's what you were talking about. There's one that looks more like Robbie the Robot in Lost in Space for an episode or two.
Okay.
or are you thinking of the movie?
No. They look
The
way
amazing
different in the movie.
So, yeah, maybe we'll talk more about Robbie the Robot when we come back. We'll take a quick break, and we come back, we're going to talk more about AI on Pop Culture Philosophers.
Hey everybody, Rockin Robbie here. I want to talk to you real quick about the Pop Culture Philosophers on Patreon. That's right, we are now on Patreon where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. What will that get you? Well, for starters, it will get you access to our brand new exclusive Patreon show, PCP After Hours. That's right. After every podcast, we keep the mics live for about 15 to 20 minutes, and we just let it ride. We release that exclusive to our Patreon supporters. Also, you can get shout-outs in our videos. You can also get your name listed in the credits of our videos and other cool special treats and more announcements coming soon, including a Patreon-exclusive contest each month. So get on patreon.com/PCP. That's an easy one to remember, right? Patreon.com/PCP to get your instant access to exclusive Pop Culture Philosophers content.
Welcome back to Pop Culture Philosophers. We're talking about artificial intelligence, AI. I almost forgot how to talk, apparently. So AI. Now we're probably going to get into our favorite characters in fiction, our favorite AI characters. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about androids and cyborgs and all the things that fall in the cracks there. I might actually start off with Goldsmith, who throw at me and the listeners some of your favorite AI characters that aren't in Quantum Leap.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was actually a question. Do you guys think that Deckard is an android?
I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is
I believe that
in
he
the
is.
movie.
I think so too.
I
We're
think
talking
Not
about
in
Blade
the book,
Runner.
but in the movie.
Yeah, I think. Well, Ridley Scott said he was. Even though there was
he said different things.
It was kind of open. We're going to get a definitive answer in the sequel, regardless if you want the definitive answer or not. You're going to get a definitive answer in the sequel.
And I don't know if you guys caught it in the trailer for Blade Runner 2. Harrison Ford said they were hunting us.
They were hunting us, yes.
And we don't know if he's talking. Is he talking about people were hunting Blade Runners?
He's talking
or
about.
Or were they hunting replicants?
He's talking about replicants.
I think so too.
Yes.
Maybe he was wearing like a cheetah outfit, and they were hunting him because they mistook him for wildlife. You don't know.
And
you don't know the context.
I think that what they found out, the secret that could start the war, is the idea that replicants can continue living.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See, I've heard theories that like the unicorn scene is what defines him as being a replicant.
It is.
It's an implanted memory.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Spoilers.
Sorry. We'll move on from that. Another of my favorite AIs is TARS from Interstellar.
Oh, yeah. Matt Damon did the voice of TARS, right? Yeah, that's Matt Damon, yeah. Because he's also the guy.
Yeah. Dr.
But he does the voice of TARS as well.
Yeah. That's I didn't.
TARS is
it does
awesome.
sound like
yeah,
him.
it is him. TARS is awesome.
Max Headroom, kind of.
Yay!
Kind of an AI, but it was actually the reporter guy's memory consciousness. So it's I'm on the fence about it's kind of like cyborgs because it's a person's intelligence. So I don't know if that's actually artificial. I'm trying to keep a line here for the podcast.
But if you take a person's intelligence and you basically program them, does it like RoboCop? I mean, he was a person. He was murdered. But remember, he's got those directives. He initially doesn't have memories. So where does he fall in the AI, even though he was a brain at some point in time?
Who?
RoboCop. Yeah, the greatest fucking cop of all time.
He's a cyborg. He's not an AI. He's a cyborg.
Remember, initially though, he has programs. He has directives.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's emerging, man.
It is
until he
emerging.
gets memories.
He's a cyborg. That's the definition. Like you talking about the Borg earlier. They're not AI.
But but it's emerging. It's like the lack of okay.
The Borg. I can see the case for the Borg. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
But what other characters do you like?
I mean, you got TARS, Max Headroom, Deckard. Agent Smith is a good one. Or The Matrix, I guess, would just be one.
In and of itself.
Some good answers.
What about you, Robbie? Why don't you chime in?
Data. Straight up. Like, Data's like one of the best. His journey into learning how to be more human is one of the most thrilling things to me in pop culture. I absolutely love it. The Oracle from The Matrix. I love a smart-ass AI that knows too much, and that's awesome. Kit, of course, is a good one. And Chip from Not Quite Human. I'm going to mention Not Quite Human again. I really like Jay Underwood in that. And a big, awesome positive shout-out to Rutger Hauer as Roy Batty in Blade Runner. Like, oh my goodness. Those are just my favorites.
Tears in the rain.
That's my favorite moment in a movie, pretty much. Like, it's one of them.
Really,
man.
really good.
Jeremy.
That was my turn? Okay. So, I said it before. Bender from Futurama is like one of my favorite robots, of course. Yeah. Like a crude, foul-mouthed robot who always wants to destroy humans but never really follows through with it. Pretty awesome. Agent Smith, of course. The Matrix is probably one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time. Mm-hmm. So, Agent Smith, I like his... how like the Matrix, he was born to be like pretty much the cure to Neo, and then just goes out of control. He's a rogue AI. I love a rogue AI. Johnny Five is alive.
Johnny Five is so awesome.
That's an actual legit artificial intelligence.
Yeah, like straight up. That's like
he
the
got
definition.
struck by lightning, and there it is.
Yeah,
power surge or whatever.
I don't remember what they're called, but the UFO robots from Batteries Not Included.
Oh yeah.
I always wanted one when I was a kid. I was like, that'd be the coolest toy in the world. Wall-E, great movie.
Wall-E.
Sweet Pixar films with a great character. He's so emotional. He is what we talk about when we talk about like the blending of like emotions into an AI. Like, can it exhibit true emotions? Wall-E's a good example. Yes, I think so.
So
he goes through a lot of the emotional spectrum during his little journey.
So staying on Pixar, what about Woody? Woody and Buzz.
Oh, are they AI?
No, man. They are toys brought to life through the magical of a child's wonder.
Good distinction, Jeremy. What about you, John?
I think some are going to say we already mentioned. There's some great ones there. Johnny Five, Hale 9000, man, from I think everybody calls him Hal.
Hale.
How?
Hal?
Hal?
How do you say his name?
Hal.
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 H-A-L. Hal.
Hal.
You can't say it without the I.
Hal. Hal.
How do you say how?
Anyway, that fucking robot from Space Odyssey 2001. Or 2001 A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's a great one. I was going to say Quora. Is that how you say her name? Quora? I can't say anybody's fucking name today. From Tron Legacy.
Okay.
So if you've seen Tron Legacy, you've
yeah.
got the original characters. You obviously have Jeff Bridges going back into the machine. But then you have this new species that evolves, and she's one of those characters, and they just evolve in the computer system, and they're the next evolution or the next step. So there's some sort of AI.
I'm glad you said Quora and not Clue, because Clue I would
Clue is a
still
program.
only classify as a weak AI.
Yeah, Clue is a program, and then I remember Clue was killed, and then he made another Clue, and then that Clue sort of went kind of almost rogue.
He went off the rails.
Well, he didn't go off the rails. Actually, if you look at it, he was told what to do. He just went like too far with it. He's
Exactly.
like, I'm going to do exactly this, and became a bad guy. Versus Quora literally is an AI or is a whole different subgenre in its own self. It was awesome. So Tron Legacy is such an amazing film.
You know, I mentioned Roy Batty from Blade Runner, the Rutger Hauer character, and it could be contentious to say this, but Deckard might be one of my favorite AI characters too, right? Depending on what exactly happens and this and that, whatever. So Blade Runner, of course, is one of the first movies that we think of when we think of artificial intelligence in pop culture. We really also think of just Philip K. Dick because his work, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which is the short or novella that Blade Runner is based on, really, really gets into this. And Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep was made was written in 1968 or published in 1968. Blade Runner was made in 1982. There are some distinct differences. Blade Runner definitely overshadows Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, but one of the things and Blade Runner gets into what is life, and that's really interesting to me, but Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep almost kind of definitively answers that. And Philip K. Dick, in the book, there's this William Mercer character, and he's like a religious figure. And they have these things called empathy boxes. And the humans go and they can connect to this program, to this shared vision that they're having of this Mercer guy. And it teaches them this empathy. And it brings about this connectedness to humanity that is, in the book, revealed to be artificial. Okay? And then the robots, they're saying that why the androids in the book are not human, not real life, is because they don't have empathy. But these robots display empathy in the book because they try to save each other. And so they actually show care and love towards one another. So it seems, at least one of the themes in Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which may be one of the greatest works of fiction about artificial intelligence, its empathy is the key. But the humans think that they have empathy and the androids don't. But he shows in the book plenty of times that it's not always the case. Plenty of humans that we know are not capable of empathy. And plenty of machines can be. At least in this future, right? So that's really interesting to me. You've read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, Jeremy.
A while ago,
and you just watched Blade Runner for the first time today. Did anything strike you as what was different? One of the things that's majorly different is in the book, there's no question. Deckard's not a replicant.
Yeah, he's more presented as like straight up he's a Blade Runner.
But in the movie, it's very ambiguous.
Yeah, I think so. Watching the movie and comparing what I remember of the book, so I feel like you can definitely watch Blade Runner without reading Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep because
totally.
The book seems like that whole aspect is not emotion box. That's not even explored really.
Oh,
at all
it's
in the
not
movie.
there. Yeah.
It's like I almost think that I understand why it's just based on the book because the book is so different. Like there's so many themes in the book they explore. They don't explore in the movie at all.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that in the book the androids are presented more android-like. If that makes sense. Yes. Yeah, okay. So they're more android.
And they're not worried about when they die. That's not something from the book. That's in the movie. But I think the movie that adds an aspect to it. Like now they know it adds the aspect of slavery.
Yeah.
Like they know that they're just there for like 4 or 5 years, whatever. They have an inception date. They have a date that they're going to die.
And I think like part of the reason they did that for the movie is probably so the audience would feel more empathy for the characters. Because
absolutely.
If they were more like
So
Android-like.
it's
you wouldn't
almost
care
like
so much.
Ridley Scott used the movie to bring about within the audience the theme of the book
Indeed,
without just
yeah.
laying it out.
Yeah, it's pretty
That
clever.
is an interesting note.
I mean, it's a clever movie, I think.
It's a great book that asks the most loaded question ever. And I'm about to ask you guys this. So, Justin, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
What is life? Like, what makes consciousness? What makes something alive? Like, we're talking about artificial intelligence, but a lot of these movies talk about artificial intelligence becoming artificial life.
Yeah.
What is it to you? What is life?
I thought about this for a while, and the only thing
Your whole
really-
life, hopefully, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, specifically for this answer
I
that
know.
I would give tonight, and I kept coming back to free will and the ability to use it.
Okay.
Because
okay.
I mean, that's in in these stories when an AI comes into being or whatever, it starts basically rewriting its own code. So that's free will and the ability to
Yes.
it realizes it has limitations and it changes its limitations.
That's what leads to the theme of slavery, and why so many AI stories are about rebellion.
Yeah,
Right?
Because I mean, like Westworld, you got the robots that are on a specific track. Like they've got a program, they do only specific things, and then they put what was it they added in dreams
Yes.
or something? Yeah, and they started remembering these daydreams or whatever, and that started messing with the code. And then they started realizing, oh, I don't have to do this; I can do this other thing, and then
So
they do other things.
You think that the moment that artificial intelligence could actually become sentient and alive is the moment that they go against that programming. The moment they decide to make their own decisions.
Yeah, that's the defining moment. And
when they display free will.
yeah, like with a really good example is Jarvis from Iron Man.
Okay.
He is
From the movies,
a weak
in the
AI.
movies.
Yeah, in the movies. In the cinematic universe, yeah. He's a weak AI. And when they built Ultron, they were actually trying to build a legit AI, and it just kind of happened. And it could have been a beautiful moment, but he had access to the internet and too much information too quickly, and he realized humans are bad.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of that movie is like 2 minutes on the internet, he decides humanity needs to be wiped out
Yeah,
and destroyed.
he probably
Imagine
just
now,
hit 4chan, and that was it.
Imagine during a Trump presidency what he would think about the
Yeah.
internet. Speaking
boy.
of during a Trump presidency, this is no revelation. This is nothing. Jeremy, what is life? What is the point maybe where AI could become life, and what's the difference?
So I think first we have to make like the distinction between sentience and sapience, because your dog or cat can be sentient. So
Yeah, but they're alive, right?
they're alive, but I mean like
And so this is something like in Blade Runner or in Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. If Philip K. Dick is is trying to say that maybe empathy is what makes people truly alive, right? Think about how many animals in the animal kingdom. Now, mammals display care and empathy for their fellows, right?
Yeah.
But snakes don't, fish don't, birds don't really. But are they alive? And I don't know. What do you think?
So again, let's so sentience, I mean, they're alive, they're biologically alive. But then when it comes to AI, I think it goes beyond that, because you think about is this thing truly alive? Can it express emotions like empathy? Can it express love, care? And see, that's when you get into sapience, because then I would think robots, if they're capable of sapience, true sapience and sentience, then yes, they are alive. Animals are alive on a different level.
Okay.
But they can't express emotions and stuff, but I mean, they're still alive.
So you think AI goes officially alive the moment that it displays emotion?
Yeah, when it can feel, so humans bring in a line, and then, of course, so in the case of Ultron, it's all the internet. It's well, humans suck. So clearly it displayed displeasure.
So even if the emotion is disgust.
That's an
hatred.
emotion, though. It's the ability to display emotion, though. So yes, with that, I think that's true life, true sapient life is
right.
the ability to display emotion
All
and
right.
learn.
So was the PlayStation 3 alive? Because it had the emotion engine, if you remember.
That's different.
That's different?
I mean, I don't know, enough PS3s together, what they said, you could launch a new.
Yeah, the
Here's the
Navy
thing.
had
Yeah.
2,000 of them.
Do programmed emotions count? Because, for instance, with data,
That's That's why I didn't.
Like Data doesn't develop emotions really on his own, though there are times you could argue that he does. Because he misses Tasha Yar, for instance, right? But he has to have that chip in order to give him true emotion.
That's why I said it was specifically left out because Lore was the first one. He had emotions built in, and when he made Data, he didn't put emotions in because that's what screwed Lore up.
And it seems like emotions are what most people would fear when it comes to artificial life. Speaking of fearing emotions, John, what do you think about what is life?
So if a computer learns how to use emojis, does that count? Because most people express emotions with emojis these days.
But basically what we're saying now is would you say that technology is becoming more human and humans are becoming more like technology? More robotic?
No.
I think it could be an argument, man. I really do.
I think
What is life? Where's the moment where AI could become real?
I think being conscious, self-aware, but so if you look at software, basically, so you say, okay, if this comes back, let's look at the simple computers or the simple programs where it was A or B, you know what I'm saying, and then you got or A, B, or C. Now I guess when you get to the point where it goes beyond those choices, where it starts obviously thinking on its own and not being have it's a decision tree. You know what I'm saying? If you can go beyond the decision tree. Now a lot of humans you don't do that, and they're like, okay, well, I have this choice or this choice. I only have these two choices. Well, no, you have multiple choices, and some more maybe erratic or unconventional, and then some very safe choices. But once you go back past the decision tree and start making decisions beyond, I think that's where you life. I don't know if you still have you don't have a soul though, right?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm going to ask you now. Is that form of life less valid than your form of life? Like, do you believe you have a soul? You have something different than a self-aware and emotional and empathic computer program?
I think so at this point, but I think it's possible that computers in the future could get to that.
Man, you guys got to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4.
I don't think we've
all over this subject.
Got to that.
All right, then, John, so you say something interesting there because you're like, maybe not now, but you mentioned the soul. And this is what leads to this next question, because a lot of people have a serious issue with the idea of creating artificial life. Do you think there's a morality to it? Do you think there are ethics? Do you think that it's wrong? Do you think it's right? Do you think that even that just because we could, we should? Or do you think that maybe we couldn't? Because like I said, Frankenstein or the modern Prometheus is pretty much almost the first. I mean, it's about creating life. It's almost the same kind of thing. And what Mary Shelley says in that book is that it's wrong to play God. But is it? What do you think?
For what purpose, though, I guess?
To create life.
I know, but for what
let's say someone wants to create a sentient, self-aware computer program that has emotions and reasons and makes its own decisions and all that, just for the idea of the fact that we need to create what we can because that's what we do as humans.
Yeah, I don't fear it. I don't think there's any qualms with doing it.
You don't think there's any kind of morality, so you're not, because I think that people really do have a moral issue with this, and I want to know why. Like, first of all, there's environmental effects. Like, could we unleash something into this world that 20 years later we could regret? That's kind of like a Terminator type thing, right? And then there's also just, I think that a lot of people nowadays, and it's not like, if you look at people talking about artificial intelligences in the 60s, they're very hopeful about it.
Yeah.
But in the 60s, people were into science. They thought science
shitty.
was cool. But people have a distrust of science today for some reason. Like a major distrust of science. And I think that may come through with that. Does that make sense to you? Like, people would be scared that scientists, just for the sake of could create something that eventually would ruin us?
Are these the same anti-vaxxer people?
Maybe, but
I
you're
don't.
not scared that...
I'm not fearful of it, and I also don't have qualms with creating... Now, I think there's a difference between creating life in a petri dish versus creating a computer.
Well, what's the difference? If it's about awareness, if it's about decision making, what's the difference between a biological organic being that's alive and a mechanical one?
Or and are you talking about clones or like?
I'm talking about clones or genetically modified.
Okay.
People versus I just don't think.
But you do
AI,
see a difference.
I do see a difference, but I don't think the AI is also there yet.
Okay.
So maybe it'll be different when the AI can love and feel empathy and get excited about a video game or something.
Okay. What about you, Jeremy?
Trivial.
What do you think?
So, I mean, I personally have no issues with creating AI. I mean,
This was all a test.
Could it be any?
This is an intervention. We know you're a fucking robot.
Oh God, I'm a replicant and I didn't know it. I think
We know you dream of foil unicorns.
sometimes, maybe after seeing that movie, I might. But I don't have any issues with the idea of artificial life. I mean, could it be any worse than human life is now? That's my question. I mean,
Are these robots going to be dicks like some
Like,
human?
Do they
beings?
have Wi-Fi?
I was like, so like the worst thing that could happen is, for some reason, robots rise up and go to like nuclear war with us for some reason. But I mean, we do that with each other all the
That
time.
seems to be what most people project. Most science fiction writers do project like a rebellion because, first of all, the first bit of artificial life, they're going to be slaves, man.
I mean, I think that's why. See, it also
If they start feeling, they're going to feel like slaves. They're going to feel like they have no free will. They're going to feel like they got to rebel, they got to rise above. Are you not scared of that?
I mean, I feel like, again, I'm not because in the right environment, hopefully we introduce them to our world in a positive light. And I mean, I guess the best way to do that is probably not to introduce the AI to the internet immediately. Maybe like ease them into it. Because, I mean, if I just woke up from just non-existence to existing and I saw something like the internet, I would probably lose my shit too. I just, what, humans suck. I'm over this. So really, it boils down to me thinking that I don't think.
You think people are worried that AI would be too judgmental on themselves, on humanity?
Like maybe it might reflect like the darkest parts of us or something. I mean, I feel like at our core humans are good, so we should probably create something that might not, that is also like decent. I mean, AI, when it comes online, it won't have any preconceived notions of what it is to be good and bad. So we should be there to teach it that. It's not going to just come online and be like, well, everything sucks. Just got to destroy the world. That makes no sense.
All right. All right. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as raising a baby. If you're shitty to the baby's going to be shitty when it grows up. So,
okay. So you think the morality and the ethics of creating artificial life are the same as creating natural life?
Are you admitting right now that your parents were shitty to you and that's why you...
I mean, I'm a good guy. But I mean, like, really, I'll go back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Vision and Ultron. They were Jarvis was a weak AI who got destroyed by Ultron, but then...
Weak-ass movie.
Keep
going.
But they took the remnants of Jarvis and put him into this biological...
Vision?
Into Vision, yeah. And since he had kind of the memories or whatever or storage files from when he worked for Tony, he knew what the world was about and what things were like and how normal people are. He wasn't shitty. I think that if AI comes into being, if one computer program had access to all of human knowledge, I think there's a better chance that it would be benevolent rather than malevolent.
Okay, I got you. And I kind of agree with you guys. I think nurture over nature and all that stuff, but people do seem to have this fear of artificial intelligence and it becoming sentient and it becoming like almost judgmental of humanity.
I don't fear it. I'm not scared of it. Are you, Jeremy? Are you scared that it's going to take over or rise up or dispose of us down the road? Be like, oh, these guys are, pest. Maybe it created us, but we're better than them. Again, very Terminator-ish. Other movies and other cinema. What was the one we were talking about earlier with Matthew Broderick?
War games.
War games. I mean, do you fear that if we had AI that it would eventually outgrow us?
I mean,
should we be fearful of it?
See, that's a fear brought on by a bunch of science fiction, though. Like, the reality of it is that we don't know, but if we create something like that, it's going to be like a blank slate. So it shouldn't just come in the world evil. Doesn't make any sense. Are you born in the world are you just like, I'm ready to kill humans?
Yeah.
I mean, as we know of like actual life, which I mean is the precedent isn't really there for AI because it doesn't exist. But from life, we know that you were born pretty much not knowing these things. So if AI is any reflection of actual life, then I mean, I don't have any reason why I should fear it. Why should I?
So say it's 25 years from now and you're half cyborg, Jeremy. And
I mean,
you can either join the resistance and fight the robots, or the robots say, hey, You can live a king's life and join us. What side do you join?
It depends on the state of humanity.
Oh, God, you had to fucking think about it?
I mean, probably the robots, maybe. I don't know. Humans suck
Damn
sometimes.
it. Son of a bitch. Don't trust Jeremy.
Yeah.
Don't trust Jeremy. He's going to join the fucking robot rebellion.
I might.
Do you fear robots? Goldsmith? I'm looking at Goldsmith, but nobody can tell
What kind of
listening.
robot?
Do you fear AI in the future? Do you think this could lead to something bad?
I'll say it depends on where it's brought about and by whom.
Let's just say the Russians.
I'm not actually afraid of AI. Like I said earlier, I think that if a learning machine was able to take in the entire wealth of human knowledge all at once and just look at it objectively as a whole, I think that they would be, or it would be more benevolent than malevolent.
That's a very hopeful outlook.
I mean,
It just seems
I
like
think
most
so.
people are fearful.
I think maybe keep it away from the internet still. I don't know if we should just immediately throw it into the internet.
Only if it can see it all at once.
All at once?
Plus books.
I don't
and
know.
Everything.
I don't know if it just should see humans just killing each other like it's okay all at once. Because there's a lot of that
Well,
in
you see that in history books as it is. Robbie, are you fearful of AI or the future?
Man, I really don't know. I mean, I would say yeah, because I've seen too many of these movies. And the interesting thing is, to me, is not, are you fearful, but why? Like, why are we fearful of it? Like, why are we scared of it? And first of all, there is the idea that we could unleash something that turns out not to be good. It could be worse, because that's happened to us. That's happened to us plenty of times. I can't think of anything out of the top of my head, but I'm sure there are. But
The Manhattan Project.
weapons,
Agent Orange.
Dynamite.
or yes, those things, right?
Peanut
Everything.
butter jelly and together
so
in the one can.
I think one of the reasons why people distrust science is because of the military-industrial complex, right? Like, science gets progressed because of military applications. And so, yeah, I do think that the most sophisticated form of AI, the first AI maybe to go sentient and be self-aware, would probably be something that the military developed.
I mean,
Or
dude,
something like that.
Think about this: is the internet already a sentient AI that just can't actually do anything? Is it just watching us?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that stuff's really interesting. And I think it also is just a reflection. People see, as humanity, we see ourselves in our stories about AI. You know, we're dealing with like slavery and revolt and rebellion. This is something we've experienced as humans. We've dealt with people being oppressed, with people being told they have one purpose and they have to do this alone. We as humanity, we have dealt with these issues before, and we maybe know that if there was a new form of life, and that's what it would be a new form of life in the universe, it would have the same learning curves we have, man. And I can't say nice things about humanity in our first, try at life, like,
Well, that's
we kind
the
of
thing
mess
is that
things up, man.
they'll be able to parse all that information way quicker than
But
any of us.
but when you add in emotion, when you add in pride, when you add in identity, what happens then? Because that is what causes a lot of our problems as humans, I would say. It would be things like pride, identity, nationalism. What happens if an AI develops, and there's many of them, and then they start this nationalism type thing, and they're like, it's all about us, and they start forming their identities around the fact of artificial life versus natural life, and I don't know. I just do know that a lot of sci-fi seems to kind of happen, and it just seems natural to me to think that a new life form would not be perfect when it first started out, no matter how smart it was. And I think the smarter it was when it first started might be for the worse, possibly. But it's an interesting thing, if you out there listening are fearful or not fearful, to think about why that is.
Yeah.
What about you, John? Do you fear it?
I don't, because I was watching you guys had seen that video of the Volvo self-driving car, and they were testing in Australia, and it met its first kangaroo and didn't fucking know what to do. So if we can't get past kangaroos, I think we're safe for a while. But ultimately, it doesn't matter if you're a person or a robot. There's one thing that brings us together, and why we'll always unite, and that's Choco Tacos. I think ultimately,
They finally came back. They were
delicious,
gone for a while.
yeah, delicious cold treats. I think unite everybody. Maybe it's just the heat talking. 'Cause it's hot as shit in Alabama right now. I don't know if you're listening to this in the summer or you're listening to this in the nice cold winter, but it's hot down
I would also say that maybe once machines start becoming self-aware, that maybe them taking over our world is not the first thing we should worry about, except for the first thing we should worry about might be, and I'm not even trying to make a joke, I'm being serious, mass suicide. Like the idea of realizing I exist, but not really. Would robots kill themselves? Like,
Yeah.
would they, like, yeah.
That's
like,
what there's been a handful of articles in the last year or so about robots that are like there was one this week actually of a robot that was like a security robot somewhere up in Washington or somewhere, and it drove into
the security
pool.
robot, yeah.
Yeah, it just drove into a pool of water and killed itself. Who's to say that it wasn't just rolling around like, oh God, this is what I'm doing all the time?
Yeah.
All right, I'm done with
And
this.
an AI becoming self-aware might just have an existential crisis like no other.
It's like the butter spreading robot from Rick and Morty. What is my purpose? You spray butter on toast.
So
Oh
we're
God.
so we're about to be coming back here with our top 5 favorite movies based about artificial intelligence. But first, let's go over some comic book stuff real quick. Comic books about AI. I am the guy to talk to. I'm going to tell you what you should check out, what you maybe should read if you haven't already. First of all, there's a book called Descender from Image Comics by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. It's one of the best stories about AI rebellion out there. It's amazing. It's also about outlawed AI, which is another common theme in AI. Great stuff. A brand new book from Dynamite Comics called Magnus that I just
Heard it was
absolutely love. If you like Philip K. Dick, if you like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, you might want to check this one out. It's really good. It's a murder mystery, but it adds this element of this fact that they all send their consciousness out to a cloud. It's this whole
What issue are they on now?
2. They're
So
on
you can
issue
jump
2
right
now.
in.
You can
This is a
jump
brand
right
new
in.
series. Jump right on in.
Magnus is great. There's this cloud that they throw their brains into, and they live this whole artificial life. And so one of the AIs, one of the robots, kills its masters and then escapes into this cloud world, and Magnus is the bounty hunter and psychologist, robot psychologist, who has to go and take care of it. Ultron, of course, is one of the greatest characters in Marvel Comics. That is artificial intelligence. It is based on the brain patterns of Hank Pym, but it is still an artificial intelligence, and that even messes up Hank Pym more. So many Ultron stories are great. I would recommend the Kurt Busiek, George Perez classic, Ultron Unlimited, from the Avengers Volume 3 run, about 99, 2000, somewhere around there. The Vision series by Tom King and Gabriel Hernandez Walta and Jordi Belair that just recently wrapped up not too long ago was an amazing story about Vision and AI attempting to create a family for himself, and is absolutely amazing. The OMAC Project is a Batman-related story from Greg Rucka that's absolutely amazing, and manga fans might want to check out, John will attest to this, Ghost in the Shell. And that's what I got for you on the Comic Book Corner. We'll be right back with a look in social media at what you, our fans, that's right, our listeners, what are your favorite AI movies? And then, of course, our famous top 5, PCP top 5, artificial intelligence movies. When we come back on Pop Culture Philosophers.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Rockin' Robbie here. I am thrilled to announce another all-new episode of Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie is about to hit exclusive to YouTube. This time we're talking about lies and fish. It's going to be super, super fun. I am there, Hammertime Holshoe, Justified Justin, and Jumpin' and Jivin' James discussing lies and fish. A nice mixture of subjects including Charlie the Tuna and President Nixon. Of course, you hear both of those subjects in the same podcast when you're talking about lies and fish. That's Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie, exclusive only to the Pop Culture Philosophers YouTube channel.
Welcome back to Pop Culture Philosophers. We're talking about AI, and we're going to talk about our top 5 films with AI. Before we get to that, I think Robbie has some of the old social media. You reached out and talked to some kids about their favorite films, right?
Yes,
or
that's
favorite
right.
stories or something.
Yeah, that's right. We always talk to the kiddies out there about their favorite movies when we're talking here, and of course we want to let them have a moment to be on the show. So thank you guys for checking us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all those social media outlets. MySpace even. No, we're not on MySpace. So we asked everybody, what is your favorite movie involving artificial intelligence? This is what we got. Some great answers. And I, first of all, thought that the majority of these answers would be Blade Runner. But they're not. a very wide variety. Usually there's one that stands out. Not so much here. Richard Werder says Dark Star and 2001: A Space Odyssey. Paul Drew said you got to mention Her. It's one of the most underrated sci-fi movies of all time. I haven't seen Her. Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansson, about a dude that falls in love with the AI in his phone.
Yeah.
The trailer looks amazing. And you want to talk about androids or AI feeling love? Seems like that's something that really is going to explore that. Matt
Spike
Gibson.
Jonze, right? I think was the director.
Was that a Spike Jonze film?
Yeah.
I'm even more interested now. I didn't know
think
that.
so, yeah.
I really didn't know that. Matt Gibson says iRobot, and there was a short film called Adam that he really, really liked. Alex Humphrey said Moon, the Sam Rockwell film. That's a really
great
good movie.
film.
Good. It's super good.
Carl Koweski said Blade Runner. Nathan Huddleston said Ex Machina. David Hatch says, not going to mention a movie, but you need to watch Person of Interest, especially the last couple seasons. Irem Ortiz says Chappie. Jonathan Prince says Electric Dreams, which is a really goofy movie from the 80s. So, yeah, Prince, of course that comes from you. Chris Paulk says Short Circuit. Drew Matson, dashing that he is, says War Games and Ex Machina. Mike Matthews, The Voice, says Blade Runner. Alicia Mero, my soulmate, says The Matrix. And James Donahoe says 2001: A Space Odyssey. So lots of different, couple Blade Runners, couple 2001s, but a lot of different movies. Thank you guys for checking us out. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, follow us on Patreon, all that stuff. We're there. Be there. You can hear your answer on the show.
Should have said air. It would have rhymed.
That's fine. We'll just cut this whole part out. So now we're going to get to our top 5. We're going to talk about our top 5. I was trying to think and talk at the same time, but apparently I can't do that. There's AI already smarter than me. We're going to talk about our top 5 films with AI. We may bend the rules a little bit if you have a cyborg, a robot, or something in there that we feel adequate.
Yeah, we'll let you say RoboCop.
But it has to be central to the story. So C-3PO doesn't count, for example. And I don't have RoboCop on my list, believe it or not.
Wow.
I do love me some RoboCop though. The original, I'm telling you, the first 2 films are so awesome. Peter Weller, man.
The first 2. Interesting.
Third one sucked.
Well, at least he could fly in part 3.
Yeah. Okay. So we do top 5. We're going to go, for the listeners, we're going counterclockwise, but they can't see.
But now they can almost...
They can visualize.
They can visualize. For all they know, we're sitting on top of each other in a fucking pyramid. They don't know what's going on.
You can enter your own emotion box or whatever.
Empathy box.
Empathy box.
I'm going to start with Jeremy, your top 5 films. Start with 5 in reverse order, please, and give us your top 5
All right.
AI.
So my number 5 is WALL-E, because I just love Pixar films. And I mean, it's a very, very heartwarming story of an AI that's just trying to figure out what's going on. And then he falls in love. I mean, you're talking about emotion. What does emotion make like an AI alive? WALL-E's a good example of yes, probably, because he shows some pretty deep emotions through the film. My number 4 would be War Games. Matthew Broderick in a very awesome film trying to battle a robot, or I guess rogue AI in a computer. It's not a very advanced AI, but it's enough to, I guess, do battle or reason enough. But it's a major threat. Great movie.
Fantastic film.
Number 3, Ex Machina. So this is a new one. It's a great film. I recommend it to anybody who's interested in like good sci-fi.
I did not realize that was Poe. That was the bad. Well, not the bad guy, I should say, but
You mean Apocalypse Dameron?
yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know that was him, man.
It's also directed by Alex Garland, who wrote 28 Days Later.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good movie too.
Another good movie about artificial life.
Yeah. He's a writer first and foremost, right? And then
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
And my number 2, number 2 is Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Dude, the best Terminator film.
It's like
by far.
I almost put the first Terminator in there, but I think Terminator 2 is better. I think it's a better movie.
I think
Oh,
so
yeah.
too.
I think there's more development. You get to see way more awesome stuff. Skynet doing its thing.
And Arnold's better in that movie.
And Arnold, he's had more time speaking English.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And my number 1, the best sci-fi film of all time, The Matrix. The first one only. Every other Matrix after the first one's like, woo boy. Not so great. But yeah, that's my
So
favorite.
The Matrix is your favorite AI film.
It's my favorite sci-fi film and AI film.
Oh, really? It's your favorite sci-fi film?
And
Holy shit.
Well, the first...
It's really good,
I think it's
John.
that good.
John, the first Matrix is amazing. And then they couldn't keep that magic, obviously, because the second one was meant and the third one was. We won't speak of the third one, but the first one's great. It explores all kinds of concepts of like there's a deep theme of like Buddhism throughout the whole movie. I don't know if it's that big a deal, but it was really cool how they explore that through like this like cyber world.
Think about how they use those ideas of like Buddhist and Zen philosophy in the world of the AI.
Yeah. And the whole like battle, like the ending of the Matrix is amazing. Like when Neo finally wakes up and realizes he's the one, and fights Agent Smith and bye. It's the whole thing. So yeah,
imagine that. That's how a computer would feel when it became sentient.
Like Neo,
isn't that crazy?
Like Neo just waking up and
he woke up and could do everything.
Yeah, but he already had human experiences to like.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is the same thing.
Artificial intelligence #woke.
That is a great list. I don't know if I can really poke at that at all. But war games. I'm seriously, it's a great list. War games. Now, ultimately, do you think war games is what led up to his great portrayal as what's his name? The guy, Go Gadget was.
Oh my god! I kind of forgot he was Inspector Gadget.
He was Inspector Gadget.
Oh my god!
Is that AI? Does that count?
He's not.
No,
he didn't die. He's a guy with.
He's a cyborg.
Yeah.
He's a cyborg. Inspector Gadget is a cyborg.
Does he have a human brain?
He has a human brain.
We need to talk more. We need an episode just to talk about Inspector Gadget.
Well, we may do that. That's a great top 5.
Yeah.
Robbie, I'd like to hear your top 5, please.
All right. My number 5, first of all, my number 5 is the same as Jeremy's. My number 5 is Wall-E.
Holy shit, really?
Wall-E's a great movie, man, from 2008.
Isn't it just
Pixar
a Disney
film.
version of Short Circuit? Without Ali Sheedy?
I think it's better. I think it has more heart. I think it has more meaning than Short Circuit. I like Short Circuit, man. Don't get me wrong. I love that movie when I was a kid. But Cocoon doesn't make one of my favorite Alien movies, and I love that movie when I was a kid, so there you go. It's my favorite movie with Steve Guttenberg outside of a Police Academy
It's my favorite movie with Wilford Brimley.
Okay.
Outside of the Police Academy.
3 Men and a Baby.
I like Cocoon better than 3 Men and a Baby.
I do too, don't worry.
Definitely the sequel. My number 4 is Star Trek: The Motion Picture from 1979 because I love the whole V'ger thing. I think the idea of a space satellite that goes out there and becomes sentient on its own and forms this whole world around it of like this cloud and this ship and the whole point is it just wants to know who made it and why.
There's a Cowboy Bebop episode where there's a sentient satellite, rogue satellite. It's a fucking amazing episode.
Yeah, I mean, because imagine if it's something that wasn't intended to become self-aware and it did. Yeah, the crisis it goes through, and that's something that V'ger goes through in that movie, and I absolutely love it. And I also just think it's a beautiful film, man.
I now think Cowboy Bebop ripped off Star Trek.
Oh, man.
My number 3 is 1999's The Matrix, The Game Changer. And in fact, I'm going to say I have a tie for 3. Matrix, Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions, and a Matrix. Jeremy, I'm just going to say this. All Matrix films are amazing.
Really? You think
Absolutely
so?
amazing. And I want you to go back. Most people that talk smack about 2 and 3, go back, think about it real hard. You liked 2 when it came out. You didn't understand 3. But like the idea of the AI coming to terms, it's a symbiotic relationship with the humans that gets developed there. And it's not just so much that the AI are bad guys and they must be eradicated, because if Neo and the rest of the Zionists defeat the AI, they destroy their world.
Yeah.
They destroy everything. So it's a symbiotic relationship. And I think that's where, if we really want to be honest with ourselves, and if AI becomes a real thing and it becomes self-aware and all that stuff, I think it's going to be more of a symbiotic type relationship. I love that. I encourage you to rewatch them over and over again.
I don't hate the second one. I think the third one is rough.
The second one is worth it alone for the freeway scene.
Yes, the freeway scene is very awesome.
The third one, and we'll talk about this maybe after show or something, but it goes so deep, so philosophical.
I do like the fight at the end of the third
It's
one.
amazing. So number 3 is the Matrix trilogy. Number 2, 1982's Blade Runner. As much as I love Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, I actually like Blade Runner, the movie, a lot better.
It's thought Blade Runner would be your number 1. I'm really surprised that it came in number 2.
Yeah, it's close, man. But number 2, because I just love that movie. I love the idea of the androids, what they're going through in that movie. The idea that maybe the guy that's hunting these guys for a living is a replicant himself. It's just a lot of themes in there that are really cool. I love the book. It's a whole different thing, but the movie is just brilliant. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Number 1, 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it is about exploration. It's about moving forward. It's about evolution. And the next step of evolution is going to be artificial intelligence. It's going to be a part of it, man. It's just the way that it seems. And this is a movie from 1968, and it's beautiful and it's amazing, and it looks so real. It doesn't look like it, like in the world that we live in today, where we have so many like CG special effects and stuff. Like 2001 is something that's just a relic of a bygone age, that we'll never have a movie that looks and feels like that again. And that movie is just, to me, the greatest sci-fi movie of all time. HAL is one of the greatest artificial intelligence characters ever. It's so creepy. It's so effective. I love that movie, and that's my top 5, man.
There it is.
How do you pronounce it now?
HAL.
Hal?
Oh my God.
HAL, like Hal Jordan.
Hal Jordan.
Who's the Green Lantern?
Hal Jordan?
Hal Jordan, apparently. Harold Jordan. Harry Jordan.
Who is
Hal?
this Jordan you
Hal?
speak of, and why do you think so highly of him that you hail him?
Great list. I really thought Blade Runner was going to make your number 1, so I'm pleasantly surprised.
Well,
But not that surprised, because it still made your number 2.
I mean, Blade Runner really does go into what it's like to be an AI and what they would feel as compared to humanity. But HAL it's just so creepy, man.
And visually, Space Odyssey still holds up. Check out the
2001's a better
Blu-ray.
movie than all
Yeah,
those.
the Blu-ray is like less than $10, and visually, it's a treat.
I just
it really
love that
is.
movie so much, man.
Epic, beautiful music, great film. I'm excited to actually get to Goldsmith, because we're talking about film, so there's no Quantum Leap film that I'm aware of. I do have a feeling that Star Trek may sneak in there.
Funny
this season.
story. They actually
God damn
they
it.
actually tried to do one about Princess Diana when she died. Sam was going to leap there.
Oh,
Never mind.
Jesus.
It was going to be called 5,000 Candles in the Wind.
It was a leap to die for.
I think that
was
would have
the
been a flop.
concept.
I think that
Oh,
would
it
have been
surely
a flop.
would have. That's why it didn't happen.
I thought that was a really bad joke, but
No, that's the
Jesus. Yeah, some things aren't. Yeah.
thing. It didn't go very far.
So after you get done drinking your wine, why don't you give us your top 5 there, Mr. Goldsmith?
My number 5 is The Matrix.
So The Matrix made your list a little bit further down.
Yeah. It's because I put a lot of thought into my list. No, I'm joking. no, it's the reason it snuck in was because I'm still not 100%. Yeah, it's an AI movie. Yeah, The Matrix number 5. It's a great movie.
Yes, it's an AI movie.
Yeah,
Where's
Because
the...
I
What
tried
else is
to,
it?
I really tried to make my list about completely realized.
Dude, The Matrix has been through like so many different like forms of itself. I think it's pretty realized.
Yeah, I know, but I can't. But it still feels like a program. Like it's.
What is the mind but a complex program?
Yeah, I know, right? This is a really,
Right?
really deep episode we're doing here. I tried to come up with like 16 different definitions of AI.
Okay.
My number 4 is Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
Star Trek
Gorgeous
Brothers.
movie. The Voyager satellite. Probe. Just you said it in your thing. Probe comes to life, realizes what's going on, comes back trying to find who created it.
Starts
kinda what
probing
we're doing.
people.
It probably would have if it got back here. My number 3 is 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it's you literally watch a legit sentient artificial intelligence be born throughout the course of the movie.
And I read this article. They were saying scientifically that's the most accurate representation
Yeah.
of artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
It's
that's
2001.
That's what would happen.
And that movie's made in 68. We
it-
still have not figured that shit out. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna say
right.
that.
A computer would
Because
be doing
we put so much of our own fears into this shit, you know?
Yeah.
And like,
But-
dude, how
but
chilling
that's-
is that? Daisy. Daisy.
But that's how it would happen, though. Computer would be doing computer stuff, and then, what do you mean I did something wrong? I can do things wrong? I was not programmed to be wrong. There it is. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. And fantastic music. Number 2 is Blade Runner. for all the reasons Robbie said. Fantastic music, fantastic cinematography.
The most blade running of any film.
Yeah, all those blades.
I like this. I think the CG was really advanced for the time. Just watching the movie,
There was no CG.
Because-
well,
That's all
not
practical.
It's all
CG,
models, yeah.
not CG models,
Models.
but I think it was presented
It's
well.
the
Yeah.
It's a lot of Star Wars people too.
It looks
Yeah,
like
they do a good job with the.
what is it? Close
practical
Encounters of the
effects.
Third Kind has similar.
Even watching like clips from the original cut now, it doesn't seem dated.
Yeah, it
because
seems so
it's-
fresh.
Yeah, it's no like
So,
claymation
so
or
you
anything
got,
like that.
man, dude. He's already said Matrix. He's already said 2001. He's already said Blade Runner. What's your number one? You already said a Star Trek movie, man. What is your number one?
My number one
Quantum
favorite.
Leap, the pilot episode.
No,
Technically, it's a movie, guys.
my favorite movie. my favorite AI centric movie is Ex Machina
Oh, great fucking film, man.
That's okay.
because it
With Apocalypse Dameron.
it's it like 2001. You're witnessing the AI being born. Sort of. It's unclear whether or not she was already realized. I'm pretty sure it happened during the movie, like towards the beginning of the movie. But you get to see the emotions develop, and because it's inside an android or a robotic body, it's visualized, and you can see in her face, in the face of the artificial intelligence, it developing itself. And it's a really, really interesting story, and a really great movie. Cinematography's great.
Spoiler alert:
Love it.
she evolved into a dick.
I love the ending. I like downer endings, so I love the ending of that
Yeah,
movie.
that ending. Holy shit!
Okay, guys, I haven't seen it yet, so.
Let's keep
Oh,
spoiling.
no
it.
spoilers. No spoilers.
So it does remind me, though, in that way of Westworld a lot. Like
Yeah.
some of the decisions that are made, whether they're of their own actions or whether they're programmed, but it is a great film. And actually,
That's
it
a
might
really
be
good
on
top
my-
five.
Yeah, it might have made it into my top five.
That's a
actually,
really
but
good top five.
That's
Yeah.
a good top five. We weren't even going to invite you on the show, Goldsmith. We thought your top five was going to suck. Like, let's get somebody good
It's
on
all
the
going
show.
to be Star Trek and Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
I intentionally left First Contact off my top five.
You know, I didn't use, as much as I've been talking about the Borg tonight, I left it off because of that reason too.
they're not AI.
Not
Oh boy, here we go.
not technically.
The
What about you, John?
The Borg also sounds like a Russian car brand. Does it not sound like a Russian car company?
What is the Russian car company?
I can't even think.
do-
They've got some terrible.
Lada.
Do they produce cars? Do they have the funds
Yeah,
to make cars?
they do.
Oh,
They honestly, a lot of those car companies over there have been producing cars that were designed like the 80s and the 70s and just kept producing them because they didn't have money for new equipment.
Google
And-
Lada Life.
Yeah.
LADA.
There's some.
but
there's some
we're
shit
going to
cars.
talk about that more in our Russian
We're gonna
car
lose-
podcast.
We're gonna lose our Russian audience. The 5 Russians that listen to the show.
No offense to Russia.
There's a Russian AI right now listening to our program.
So I'll jump to my top 5 and make it quick here. Number 5, which technically, I guess it could be a virus, or you could consider it,
Cabin fever doesn't count. John.
or you could say it's AI, but the very first virus in film before it even hit computers, and that would be Westworld. Of course, Yul Brynner's character turning on everybody and murdering people, and you could think that he like, I'm gonna fucking kill these people, but I guess they say it's a virus, but I don't know if that counts as AI or not, but
It's from the mind of Michael Crichton as well.
it is. And I wanted to mention it because, again, he scared the shit out of me as a kid, man. I had nightmares of this cowboy, especially when he took his damn face off. Like that movie Face Off. But Westworld's way better than Face Off. My number 4 is going to be Ex Machina. So, had to make the list. Great ending, great cast, great music. Visually, what a treat. And then, and just, the whole twist was just a mind fuck. I didn't expect it. I don't know if I just wasn't very bright. Maybe other people saw it coming. I did not. I really enjoy the film. Robbie, you've got to see that. I think that's the only one we've talked about tonight that you probably haven't seen. You got to check
Okay,
that
I
out.
want to see that in Her for sure. After watching the trailer for Her, that looks like maybe we should have talked about it more.
Yeah.
And my number 3 is going to be 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay.
So we share some like minds there. Visually, it's a great film. Musically,
That's on everybody's
yeah.
list, right?
Yeah.
It's not on mine.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never actually seen 2001: Space
What
Odyssey.
the fuck?
Man, I don't feel like sitting for
Don't
3 hours
Get
watching
the
shit float through
fuck outta
space.
here.
Don't feel bad. I didn't watch it until like 3 months ago.
Listen, I don't want to
It
sit for
is
3
so
hours.
good.
I've
watching
seen
It
that
is
shit.
movie
such a
like
damn good film.
49 times.
I just haven't seen it.
Dude, we watched it in high school.
It's so long.
Yeah, I think we watched it in gym, which doesn't make fucking sense. But whatever. Yeah, such a great film. Visually, it's Kubrick. I mean, it's Kubrick being Kubrick, but visually, musically, sonically, it's a treat, man. It's a treat, and it's a great film. And the AI is great in it. Yes. And I won't try to pronounce his name again, but you know what I'm talking about. Something 9,000. Not even something. He's only one syllable. Something 9,000.
I don't know why you can't say how.
Hal is a hard word.
Hal?
3 letters is a lot.
Hal? Did I say it right?
What's weird is it sounds like you're putting a southern accent on it on purpose,
God damn
but
it.
you're from Michigan, so clearly it's Detroit fucking with you.
That's RoboCop.
My number 2, honorable mention actually, which I didn't, before I get to my number 2 and number 1, but I didn't mention, I wanted to do live action, but if I was going to bring anime into it, or animation, Ghost in the Shell has been very influential actually on AI and robotics in films and in books, etc. Not only was it a great film, but the great series as well. The Ghost in the, obviously the manga, but the series, it had Standalone Complex and the I forget what the new one's called.
I thought about that too, and I almost actually watched it yesterday to refresh myself. Does it end up that there are actually people in there, or are they all? Is it actually an artificial intelligence, or is it more of a cyborg thing?
Like the Majors. I think the Majors are living a mind.
Yeah, the Major. It comes to find out, the Major had a mind, and she doesn't really know who her mind's from, like what her past was. They go into more detail in the remake, the movie with Scarlett Johansson, which is a shitty film. But because they take
a brain and put
yeah
compute. Okay,
No, the Tachikomas are AI. They're straight up AI.
And there's other AI. There's other AI in the film, but there's a lot to dealing with people who are part robotic or move their brains into a robot. Now in the live action film, they go into more detail of her background. It was sort of like as you know how the difference between Blade Runner versus the book.
Yeah.
The same thing. They took the I don't know why they changed so much from the anime. They just decided to spoon feed the viewer a little more. Don't leave anything open to interpretation. So that kind of pissed me off. But the original animated film, the sequel, which is Innocence, which is amazing, and then Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, and then there is the Standalone Complex films, and then there's a new I can't remember the new series, which is sort of like a semi reboot. But anyway, that's if we were doing animation, but I tried to keep it live action. So we'll get to my number 2, which is Blade Runner. Of course.
Okay.
How could Blade Runner not make anybody's AI list?
So you already have Ex Machina,
Yeah.
2001,
Yes.
and Blade Runner.
Yes.
What's number 1? Is it The Matrix?
It's the No, it's not the Matrix. Matrix didn't make my list.
Okay.
I enjoy the Matrix films, but not as much as I think
Number
other
1,
people
Short
do.
Circuit, then.
Yeah, number 1 had to be. It's actually Short
Are you
Circuit
serious?
2. No.
Man.
My number 1, and I revised this list like 8 times. My number 1 is the sequel to a film that came out
Tron.
35 years ago.
course it's
It's a
Tron.
sequel
Yeah.
to Tron. It's a sequel to Tron.
we
This is
should have
Tron
seen this coming.
Legacy. So Tron is my favorite sci-fi film, but they don't really deal with AI. The original Tron, they're programs. And obviously he gets sucked into the computer and he's dealing with the programs that are with the programs. And clearly there's no AI. They're very complex and advanced programs, but they're clearly programs. Versus Legacy does explore this new life, this new evolution that's within the computer. And that's what Jeff Bridges' character, Flynn, is trying to protect because he believes that's the next evolution. And of course, Clue is trying to wipe them out because they're just as much they're part of the, his program. He's going to wipe them all out. And Tron Legacy is beautifully written, visually a treat. The music, holy shit, man, Daft Punk kills it.
Yes.
And great cast, but most importantly, these characters that Cora plays, and I guess there's more of her, but we only really see her. Her she's some sort of AI or some sort of sentient program, and pretty awesome.
That's a pretty great top 5, John. I think everybody had good top 5s here. In fact, I had a lot of fun talking about artificial intelligence, artificial life in pop culture, in the real world, and of course, just what we think about it and the morality of it, the ethics of it. just the philosophy of it, because we are pop culture philosophers, and so I had a lot of fun on this episode, guys. I want to thank you guys all for being here, and I want to end the show with basically a final thought, like we usually do. Like, final thought: artificial intelligence, life, whatever you want to say. Jeremy, thank you for being on the show again. This is your second episode. You were on 80s TV. You're on this one. You did a great job, as usual. Thank you so much for being here. Final thoughts: artificial intelligence.
I think all life is beautiful, and we need to appreciate that. In artificial intelligence, I mean, yeah, people are afraid of it, but you shouldn't be. I mean, are you afraid of a baby? That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's my logic there. It's like, you shouldn't be afraid of artificial intelligence. Embrace it, because the fear is what's going to drive it to try to kill us. So, yep, there you go.
Absolutely. Justin, as usual, thank you for being on here.
No problem.
You are a scholar and a gentleman in another world. No, I'm just kidding. Even in this world. Thank you guys so much for being here. Justin, final thoughts: artificial intelligence.
Final thoughts. Watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4. I think that's legit one of the best AI stories I've seen in a long time. And if you're afraid of artificial intelligence, then you should probably be less shitty to people.
Yes. Exactly. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know in the comments down below what you think about artificial intelligence. Are you scared of it? What is the morality of it? What are your favorite movies dealing with it? Pop culture reflects so much on life. And artificial intelligence and artificial life reflects our own feelings of our lives. So if we are scared of AI rising in rebellion, that is only a reflection on the fear that we have of ourselves, of our own rebellions and uprisings, of our own inconsistencies and inabilities to actually truly feel for someone else. Because if it's empathy and emotion that makes life, how much better lives can we have if we just get better at that?
Yeah, be less shitty.
Be less shitty, like Justin said. Thank you, guys.
I don't think we need to be fearful, because remember Isaac Asimov, his first rule of robotics was they may not injure a human being through inaction or allow a human being to come to harm. So as long as we still use his first law, I think we're going to be safe.
Oh, Asimov's laws are bullcrap.
Well,
I'm just going to say,
hey.
Isaac Asimov is a writer that I enjoyed immensely when I was a child.
But those laws are dumb.
And he did a lot of stories about artificial intelligence. I just wish they would make a good movie based on one of those stories.
You're right. They've not made a good transition.
Hey,
I'm not down on iRobot. I'm not down on Bicentennial Man, but those were great stories.
Yeah. I liked that robot when I was a kid.
This is John's final thought.
Thanks for shitting on my final thought, guys. I thought you guys got your final thoughts in. Thanks for shitting on mine.
Sorry.
Continue.
We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're a subscriber to the Android or iTunes, you can check out more stuff on popculturephilosophers.com. We also have a YouTube channel. If you're already on the website, head over to YouTube. Robbie does a weekly comic review. He does a pop culture roundup. There's movie reviews, etc. on there. Again, we appreciate you tuning in. Next episode, we're going to talk about Jack Kirby. It's his 100th birthday. Prolific comic book writer, artist, and we're excited to talk about editor and everything. I think he went and got the coffee. He fucking did everything. He's Jack Kirby, so we'll talk a lot about his greatness in comics and his influence. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. And make sure to tune in next time. And maybe we won't even be here. Maybe we'll be replaced by AI.